Hello, it's Psychocore. Choosing the wrong partners. I'm about to tell you something I've never shared publicly before. Something that shattered everything I believed about love, relationships, and why we keep making the same devastating mistakes over and over again. For 15 years, I watched my closest friend Sarah destroy her life by choosing the worst possible men. Narcissists, addicts, emotional vampires who drained every ounce of joy from her soul. And every time I asked her why, she'd give me the same answer. I can't help it, I'm just attracted to the wrong guys. But here's what I discovered that changed everything. Sarah wasn't choosing the wrong men by accident. Her unconscious mind was deliberately seeking them out, like a heat-seeking missile programmed to find destruction. And the most terrifying part? She wasn't alone. Most of us are doing exactly the same thing. Sarah grew up in a house where love came with conditions. Her father was a successful businessman who showed affection only when she achieved something remarkable. A perfect grade, a trophy, a moment of glory that made him proud. But the second she stumbled, made a mistake, or simply needed comfort, he would withdraw into cold silence that could last for days. Her mother tried to compensate by being overly sweet, but there was always an underlying anxiety, a desperate need to keep everyone happy and avoid conflict at all costs. Sarah learned early that love was something you had to earn, something that could disappear without warning. Something that always came with a price. By the time she was 16, Sarah had unconsciously created a blueprint for relationships. Love meant uncertainty. Love meant having to prove yourself constantly. Love meant walking on eggshells, never knowing when the other person might withdraw their affection. So when she met Marcus at 22, her heart recognized him instantly. He was charming, confident, and completely unpredictable. One day he would shower her with attention, making her feel like the most important person in the world. The next day he would be distant, critical, making her wonder what she had done wrong. Her friends saw the red flags immediately. Marcus was manipulative, selfish, emotionally unavailable. But Sarah felt something she had never experienced before. That familiar cocktail of anxiety and euphoria that her childhood had taught her was love. What Sarah didn't understand was that her unconscious mind had been shaped by something psychologists call repetition compulsion. This is our psyche's attempt to master unresolved trauma by recreating similar situations, hoping that this time we'll get it right. Her unconscious reasoning went something like this. If I can make someone who withholds love finally give it to me consistently, then I'll prove that I'm worthy of love. I'll heal the wound from childhood by winning over someone just like the person who created that wound in the first place. It's like a psychological Groundhog Day, where we keep repeating the same painful scenario, believing that somehow, this time will be different. This time will be enough. This time we'll earn the unconditional love we never received. But here's the cruel irony. The very people we're most attracted to are the ones least capable of giving us what we need. We're drawn to unavailable people because available people feel boring, suffocating, or simply wrong. They don't activate our familiar patterns of anxiety and longing. Marcus didn't just hurt Sarah emotionally. He rewired her brain chemistry. Every time he withdrew his affection, her body flooded with stress hormones. And every time he returned with love and attention, she experienced a massive dopamine hit that felt better than any drug. This is trauma bonding, and it's as addictive as cocaine. The intermittent reinforcement creates a powerful psychological dependency. Sarah's brain began to associate the pain of rejection with the euphoria of reconnection. She became addicted to the very cycle that was destroying her. I watched her lose weight, lose sleep, lose herself completely. She would spend hours analyzing his text messages, trying to decode his moods, walking on eggshells to avoid triggering his anger. She became a shadow of herself, but she couldn't leave. Every time she tried, the withdrawal felt unbearable. Her friends couldn't understand it. From the outside, the solution seemed obvious. Just leave him. Find someone who treats you well. But they didn't understand that Sarah's nervous system had been hijacked. Her body literally craved the dysfunction. 3 years into their relationship, something shifted. Marcus's behavior became more erratic, more cruel. He would disappear for days without explanation, then return acting as if nothing had happened. He criticized everything about Sarah, from her appearance to her career choices to the way she laughed. But instead of leaving, Sarah doubled down. She started therapy not to heal herself, but to figure out how to make Marcus happy. She read self-help books about communication and relationships. She changed her wardrobe, her hairstyle, even her career path, hoping to become the woman he wanted. I remember the night she called me, sobbing. Marcus had just told her that he wasn't sure he loved her anymore, that maybe they should take a break. And through her tears, she asked me the question that broke my heart. What's wrong with me? Why can't I make him love me? That's when I realized that Sarah wasn't trying to win Marcus's love. She was trying to win her father's love. Marcus had become a stand-in for every person who had ever made her feel unworthy. Every rejection from him reopened that original wound, and every moment of his attention felt like a chance at redemption. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the human story. We all carry invisible wounds from childhood, and those wounds shape our adult relationships in ways we rarely recognize. The person who grew up with an angry, explosive parent finds themselves attracted to partners with anger issues. The child of an alcoholic seeks out partners with addictive personalities. The child who was ignored gravitates toward emotionally unavailable people. We tell ourselves we want healthy love, but our unconscious mind has a different agenda. It's trying to resolve old business, to finally get the love and validation we needed as children. So it guides us toward people who can reopen those wounds, giving us another chance to heal them. But here's the tragic truth. We can't heal childhood wounds through adult relationships. We can't earn love from someone who's incapable of giving it. We can't change someone who doesn't want to change. We can only repeat the same painful patterns until we become conscious of what we're doing and why. 4 years after they met, Marcus finally left Sarah for another woman. Someone younger, someone who hadn't yet figured out his patterns, someone whose wounds matched his manipulation perfectly. Sarah was devastated but also strangely relieved. The constant anxiety was finally over. But within 6 months, she was dating David. A different face, different profession, but the same emotional unavailability, the same hot and cold behavior, the same way of making her feel like she had to earn his love. I watched in horror as the cycle began again. That's when I understood that Sarah wasn't unlucky in love. She was unconsciously programming her own heartbreak. Her wounded inner child was choosing partners, not her adult self. And until she healed those wounds, she would keep attracting the same type of person in different packaging. The pattern was so precise it was almost mathematical. Every man she dated had the same core traits: charming but selfish, confident but insecure, passionate but incapable of real intimacy. They were all variations of her father's emotional blueprint. The breakthrough came during Sarah's 5th year of therapy. Her therapist asked her a simple question that shattered her denial. What would it feel like to be with someone who consistently showed you love and respect? Sarah's answer revealed everything. Boring. Like something was missing. Like I couldn't trust it. For the first time, she understood that her attraction to difficult men wasn't a flaw or bad luck. It was her wounded psyche's attempt to feel at home. Chaos felt familiar. Uncertainty felt normal. Consistent love felt foreign and suspicious. She realized that every time a genuinely available man had shown interest in her, she had felt suffocated, unattracted, or simply turned off. Her nervous system had been calibrated for drama, and peace felt like death. This revelation was both liberating and terrifying. It meant that her relationship failures weren't about finding the right person. They were about becoming the right person, about healing the wounds that made dysfunction feel like love. Healing wasn't linear or easy for Sarah. It required her to feel the pain she had been avoiding her entire life, the grief of never receiving unconditional love as a child, the anger at parents who had done their best but hadn't been able to give her what she needed, the fear that maybe she truly was unworthy of love. She had to learn to recognize the difference between attraction and addiction, between chemistry and compatibility, between the familiar and the healthy. It meant retraining her nervous system to find peace attractive instead of boring. The process took years. Sarah had to date herself first, learning to give herself the love and validation she had been seeking from others. She had to become the parent to herself that she had never had. She had to grieve the fantasy that the right person would heal all her wounds, but slowly something shifted. The men who had once excited her began to feel exhausting. Their games and manipulation became transparent. She started to notice red flags that she had been blind to before. Her attraction patterns began to change. Today, Sarah is married to Tom, a man she would have found boring 5 years ago. He's consistent, emotionally available, and genuinely caring. He doesn't play games or withhold affection. He doesn't make her question her worth or walk on eggshells. At first, their relationship felt strange to Sarah. There was no drama, no constant anxiety, no need to prove herself. She kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for him to reveal his hidden darkness. But Tom was exactly who he appeared to be, a healthy person capable of healthy love. Sarah had to learn to receive love without earning it, to trust consistency instead of craving chaos, to find excitement in building something together rather than in the adrenaline of uncertainty. It was the hardest thing she had ever done, and the most rewarding. Sarah's story is playing out in millions of lives right now. People who grew up with criticism are attracted to critical partners. Those who experienced abandonment seek out people who are likely to leave. Children of addicts find themselves drawn to people with compulsive behaviors. We mistake intensity for love, drama for passion, and uncertainty for excitement. We confuse the familiar pain of our childhood with the feeling of being alive. We choose partners who confirm our deepest fears about ourselves instead of challenging us to grow beyond them. The saddest part is that we often reject the very people who could love us well because they don't trigger our familiar wounds. They feel too easy, too stable, too boring. Our wounded inner child whispers, If they love me this easily, there must be something wrong with them. The path to conscious relationships begins with radical self-awareness. We must examine our attraction patterns with the curiosity of a scientist. What type of person consistently draws us in? What behaviors do we mistake for love? What red flags do we consistently ignore? We must also excavate our childhood experiences, not to blame our parents, but to understand how those experiences shaped our relationship blueprint. What did love look like in our family? What did we have to do to receive attention and affection? What wounds are we still trying to heal? Most importantly, we must learn to distinguish between chemistry and compatibility. Chemistry is often just our wounds recognizing familiar wounds in another person. Compatibility is about shared values, mutual respect, and the ability to grow together. The goal isn't to eliminate chemistry entirely, but to ensure it's not rooted in dysfunction. Healthy chemistry comes from recognizing someone who challenges us to be our best selves, not someone who triggers our worst fears. Choosing differently requires tremendous courage. It means being willing to feel bored while your nervous system recalibrates. It means grieving the fantasy that someone else will heal your wounds. It means taking responsibility for your own healing instead of expecting a partner to complete you. It also means being willing to be vulnerable with someone who won't use that vulnerability against you. For many of us, this feels more terrifying than being hurt by someone familiar. At least we know how that pain feels. Genuine love is uncharted territory. But here's what I've learned from watching Sarah and countless others heal. When we choose from our wounds, we create more wounds. When we choose from our wholeness, we create more wholeness. The person we choose when we're healed will be radically different from the person we choose when we're broken. Sarah's transformation didn't just change her love life, it changed everything. Her relationship with her parents improved as she stopped trying to earn their approval. Her friendships deepened as she attracted people who appreciated her authentic self. Her career flourished as she stopped settling for less than she deserved. Most importantly, she broke the cycle. Her future children won't inherit her relationship patterns because she healed them. The generational trauma that had been passed down through her family line stops with her. This is the ultimate power of conscious relationship choices. We don't just heal ourselves, we heal the future. We create new patterns that our children can inherit. We model what healthy love looks like. If you recognize yourself in Sarah's story, know that you're not broken. You're not doomed to repeat the same patterns forever. Your attraction to unavailable people isn't a character flaw. It's your psyche's attempt to heal old wounds, but you can't heal those wounds through another person. You can only heal them by developing a conscious, loving relationship with yourself, by learning to give yourself what you never received, by choosing to break the cycle instead of repeating it. The journey isn't easy, but it's possible. And on the other side of that healing is a love you may have never experienced before. A love that doesn't require you to earn it or prove your worth. A love that sees you completely and chooses you anyway. Sarah found it. And if she could break free from 15 years of destructive patterns, so can you. The choice is yours. Will you continue choosing from your wounds? Or will you finally choose from your wholeness? The person you're meant to be with is waiting. But first, you have to become the person who can recognize them. If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment telling us what you think of this video.